Lord said to Abram, "Leave your land, your family, and your father's household for the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation and will bless you. I will make your name respected, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. Those who curse you, I will curse. All of the families of earth will be blessed because of you." Abraham left just as the Lord told him, and Lot went with him. Now Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. This is the word of God for us, the people of God. Thanks be to God. One of the pieces that was really important to us in the beginning of developing modern worship with this ethos would be that there would be a multiplicity and diversity of voices when we have sermons, that it wouldn't just be one person, me, the whole time, and that we have so many wonderful and beautiful different perspectives that we all need to hear. And so today, I'm so excited for you to experience and to hear what God is going to speak to us today through our sermon homiletician today, the great Wendy Child. Would you welcome her this morning?
Well, hello. I'm going to move this. A little OCD going on this morning. It's just, okay, there we go. I feel better already. Okay, so good morning. Well, like Joe said, my name is Wendy Child, and normally I'm the worship leader in this service, so I usually have like a guitar here-ish, and I'm just definitely not going to know what to do with my hands today, and we're just going to have to get real comfortable with that right up top. So, can I let you guys in on a little secret? This is actually the first sermon that I have ever preached. Stop it. I didn't even put that in there right before service or anything. It's so weird. So the reason I tell you that is because either I'm going to crush it and you are going to be amazed at my deep spiritual and existential knowledge, or I'm going to bomb and you'll have a little grace for me because it's my first time. So really, I feel like I can't lose this morning. It's going to be a good day. So I want to talk today about pre-corner moments. Pre-corner moments are those times in life before we turn the corner and a lot of things start to make more sense to us. Pre-corner moments are those seasons in life when everything feels like it's on fire, when everything is breaking or changing or ending, and it's terrifying because the winds around us feel like they're shifting and we have no idea where to find true north. But then we turn the corner, and all of the pain and the frustration and the fear has landed. Is this me? Is this my problem? Okay, sorry. That'll mess you up. So once we've gotten around that corner, all that pain, frustration, the fear, the trauma of that pre-corner moment starts to make a little bit more sense. And life is a series of pre-corner moments, then we turn the corner, and then we find ourselves in pre-corner moments again. And it's exhausting, right? It's really hard. Can I get an amen? Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about 4 things as it pertains to pre-corner moments. We are going to talk about the hero's journey. We're going to talk about chicken night. We're going to talk about Abraham, and we're going to talk about cardio fantasies. So the hero's journey, chicken night, Abraham, cardio fantasies. Are you guys ready? We have a lot of ground to cover. You ready to rock and roll? All right, let's do this thing. So let's start with the hero's journey. The hero's journey was a term coined by Joseph Campbell, and he was a professor and a researcher in the fields of mythology and story. And in all of his years of research, he noticed a pattern starting to emerge in all of the great stories. Throughout history, in every culture, in every language, and every time period, the great myths and stories had almost identical plot lines. And he then dug in a bit more and realized that most of the people in history who've achieved something great, their lives and the decisions that they made, again, followed this very similar path. And he called this path the hero's journey. And my hunch is that many of us in this room this morning will find ourselves somewhere on this hero's journey. So, there are 4 parts to the hero's journey. Our hero this morning's name is Morgan. There they are. And Morgan is a purposefully gender non-specific name because I believe that men and women and gender non-binary people are all called by God to be the heroes of our own stories. So we're following Morgan's path today. The first step of the hero's journey is the call to adventure. So Morgan's life is pretty comfortable, but they feel like maybe, just maybe, there's something that they might be missing, that there's something more. And so an inciting incident happens. Something breaks into their reality, and Morgan is called into something scary and new and something that they are almost positive that they cannot handle. Sometimes we get to choose to answer the call. And sometimes the call happens to us. Either we lose a job, or we lose a house, or we have health issues, or a marriage or a relationship ends, and life is thrown into complete chaos. That is the exact moment that our hero's journey begins. So second is the quest. In this stage of the journey, Morgan sets out on their adventure, and they make big changes in their life, and they run headfirst into uncertainty, all the while knowing that they were born for something great, that they were made for more. The stage 2 of the hero's journey, the quest, is a really fun stage because everything is new and exciting, which leads us to the third stage of the hero's journey, the crisis. Morgan has to face their deepest fears head on. Joseph Campbell said this about the third stage of the hero's journey. He said, "The thing you most desire is hidden inside the cave you most fear." And I love that quote. It's one of my favorites. The thing you most desire is hidden inside the cave you most fear. So Morgan realizes that they could never go back to their old life, even if they wanted to, and so they journey on towards imminent crisis. The best thing about this stage of the hero's journey is that Morgan realizes they are so much stronger than they ever knew. And they slay the dragon, and they conquer their deepest fear, and they find these hidden wells of strength and potential within themselves. Which leads us to the fourth stage, the return. Morgan returns back to their life, but with an entirely new perspective. They bring back these lessons to guide their life, and when they come back, they are ready to be a blessing to their community in a whole new way, and they now have a gift to offer their tribe that they could have never offered before. And so, Morgan's hero's journey is complete. So that's the hero's journey, and I wonder if any of us in this room find ourselves in any of those stages today. So, let's talk about chicken night. I have taken a bit of my own hero's journey over the past half decade or so, and the stages of my path, again, kind of eerily match the stages of the hero's journey. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about me, if that's okay. So, I grew up in very conservative evangelical churches, and my whole life was centered around my Christian faith. And I was all in for Jesus, and I thought that that meant I also had to be all in for the conservative evangelical movement as a whole. And boy, was I. I was a purity ring wearing, I kiss dating goodbye reading, in your face evangelizing, purpose-driven lifer. And my life was awesome, and it was so nice and comfortable and safe until about 5 years ago. So my faith started falling apart when I was on staff at a megachurch, which I know is like the perfect time to have an existential crisis. And it was death by 1,000 paper cuts. Little things about the faith that I grew up with just stopped making sense. And these doctrines and theologies that I used to care so deeply about and hold so tightly, they just stopped making sense to me. And I stopped believing all the same stuff that I had always believed. And not because I wanted to. That's the thing you have to understand about a faith deconstruction. Most people who go through a faith deconstruction, which is just a fancy term for saying losing your faith, most people don't choose it. Usually it's something that happens to you. And so I would have happily stayed a deeply conservative person for all my days, but I couldn't, because once you see, you can't unsee. That's how the hero's journey works. Once you feel that pull in your chest towards something new, you can't pretend you don't feel it. Once you see, you can't unsee. So, since I'm a bit of an overachiever, my faith deconstruction ended in a total systems failure. And I was an atheist, or at least an agnostic, on staff at a megachurch, totally in secret. And for months, I tried to pick up little pieces of my faith that I felt like I could hold on to, and I tried to stack that tower back up again, but every time I did, the whole thing would get knocked down, and I was left with nothing. I didn't want to be an atheist. It's the most painful thing that I have ever experienced in my life, because faith gives us paths to walk on, and it gives us borders and boundaries, and it helps us know where we fit in the world. And when my faith was gone, I didn't have any of that. I had no ground to walk on, and it was disorienting, and it was terrifying, and I felt like I was losing my mind. So at the same time, my body started to act out. I had this breathing problem for a year and a half where it felt like I was drowning. My lungs wouldn't expand all the way, and I felt like I couldn't get a full, satisfying breath for a year and a half. And it was really frustrating because there was no physiological reason for this problem. Until one day it dawned on me. My body was trying to tell me something that my mind didn't want to hear, or that my mind didn't know how to hear. My body was trying to save me. It was trying to say, you can't hide anymore. And so I knew I had to make a change. So I knew I had to leave, but the main problem is this. It was chicken night. So chicken night is the reason that I would explain why I was blowing up my life and changing careers and selling my house and moving across the country. It's a phrase that's used by one of my favorite comedians, Pete Holmes. And you guessed it, it's a hero's journey thing. It's also an Abraham thing, but we'll get there soon, I promise. So in the hero's journey, when they receive the call, it's usually at a very inconvenient time. And no one understands why the hero would want to leave. The whole tribe thinks it's crazy that the hero would want to venture out and try something new now because it's chicken night. And you can't leave on chicken night. Chicken night is the best night of the week. Why on earth would you want to leave on chicken night? Things are good, and things are cozy and comfortable, and the chicken is juicy, and it's delicious, and it's being served up to you on a silver platter. You can't leave on chicken night. But here's the thing about the hero's journey. Often the call happens on chicken night. So my call came on chicken night. Things in my life, guys, were so good. I had a job that I was making that sweet, sweet non-denominational money, and I had friends I adored, and I had a house that I loved, and I had side gigs that were fun and easy, and I had a personal spiritual life that was in complete crisis, shambles on the ground. So Michael and I quit our jobs, and we moved to Nashville to pursue music full-time. We'd always done the pop music thing kind of on the side, but we decided to go full force at it in Nashville. And I wish that I could tell you that it was triumphant, but you know what? It was the worst. Oh my gosh, it was the worst, guys. Nashville was so much harder on me than I thought it would be. I have a very type A personality, and my drive for success pretty much ended crippling me in my music career. I was burned out and exhausted and angry, and it felt like exactly nowhere in the music industry. And I had to face the dark cave of my fears. My two greatest fears are one, that I'll be perceived as stupid, and number two, that my life won't matter for anything. And so I had to go into those caves and figure out what those caves had to teach me about who I was and the kind of music I wanted to make and the kind of artist I wanted to be in the world. So the biggest upside to those terrible struggle years in Nashville was that I wasn't working at a church. And for the first time in my life, it was okay that I didn't have faith to hold on to. I didn't have to teach or pray or sing in front of anyone, and it was kind of awesome. But here's the thing, that freedom eventually led me to explore faith again, but in all new ways. I read books that I would have never been caught dead reading before. I explored all kinds of faith traditions and Eastern wisdom, and I found these deep wells of wisdom in all kinds of new ways. And I found Christian traditions like the United Methodist Church that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know this was a thing. And so slowly, I found God again. And I now have a faith that is alive and is magical and is inspiring and is so real to me. And I'm so, so grateful to God for that. So a couple years into living in Nashville, we decided that Nashville had taught us everything it needed to teach us, and so we decided to return back to North Dallas into ministry where I feel called. And so my hero's journey landed me right back where I started. And I have a feeling that I am on the verge of my next hero's journey. So, let's talk about Abraham. In Genesis, where our scripture picked up this morning, Abraham is living in Haran. And I'm definitely not saying that right, but I didn't go to seminary, so, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? He had his wife, he had his whole household, and things were so good, and things were cozy, and it was chicken night for Abraham. But then he hears the call from God to go. Leave your land, your family, your father's household for the land that I will show you. That's a pre-corner moment if I've ever seen one. A land that I will show you? Cool. I'll just upheave my family and my whole life and our safety and our income and our security and our livelihood. And I'll just start walking. No problem, God. It's great. If I was Abraham, I would have been real mad. Real mad. It's thanks for the promise that you're gonna bless me and then bless all the people of the earth through me. That's dope and I'm here for it, but you gotta give me some practical objectives. I need something to sink my teeth into. I need to know what's going on. But Abraham answered the call. He set out and he traveled a lot. He traveled through multiple cities, stopping to break camp for a while and then venturing out again, and he didn't know where he was headed. That is mind-blowing to me. He was just walking. Have you guys ever experienced something like that? Where you hear this call to go on an adventure, and you want to give up some of your safety or your security or your income, and you feel restless, like you have this gift you want to give the world, but you just have no idea what it is yet, and you are willing to take a leap of faith, but you just have no clue where to leap. Well, me too, and one of the greatest spiritual practices that I've ever experienced to try to help me discern what it is that God has for me is called cardiofantasies. So, we're gonna do a little audience participation. So, raise your hand if you like working out. Like if you're into it, you enjoy it, keep them up. If you think it's fun, keep those hands, yeah, be proud, yes. All right, keep those hands up. So those of us in the room who don't have our hands raised, let's look at the people with their hands up. These people are liars and they are not to be trusted. I don't buy it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being good sports. So other than our lying brothers and sisters and siblings here this morning, most of us hate working out. It's hard, but most of all, it's so boring. My body could probably last like 10, 20, 30 minutes on a treadmill, but my brain can barely handle 5. Because I start thinking about how boring this is and how my legs really hurt and like I'm breathing really heavy and is this what it feels like to die? And also this is so much harder than the last time I was on a treadmill, you piece of garbage. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine with me. So what I do is cardio fantasies to occupy my mind while I'm doing cardio. And it's actually become a spiritual practice of mine, kind of like prayer. This is an idea that I stole from Rachel Hollis's book, Girl, Wash Your Face, which is a fun little read if you have an afternoon. So here's what you do. You think for just about 10 seconds about something that seems exciting to you. It could be anything. It could be something you wish you could do, or something you wish you could learn, or a place you want to travel, or people that you wish you could meet. Anything that's right on the surface that day that seems fascinating, you go with it. So once you've picked that topic, you dive all the way into that idea. You imagine every little facet of that idea down to the smallest detail. You picture how you'll feel and what you'll wear and who you'll be with and what people will say. You imagine telling your friends and your family about it. You just dive all the way in and you let your mind wander all over that idea, and usually 30 minutes go by like that. So one of my cardio fantasies a few years back was that I thought it would be really cool to write a book. So I was on a run. That's a lie. I was on a walk. It was a brisk walk, so I feel like it counts as a run. So I decided to go with this idea of writing a book. And I imagined sitting down with my favorite black mug and opening my computer and pouring my chocolate milk into my coffee because that's how I drink it. And don't knock it till you try it. It is so good. So I hovered over my body and watched myself write hilarious jokes and deep spiritual insights. And then I pictured Michael reading it for the first time and how proud he would be of me. And I pictured printing off my manuscript and marking it up with a purple pen. And then I imagined hiring a book cover designer. And I imagined speaking engagements and book tours and Good Morning America interviews. And then I planned my outfit for what I was going to wear when I met Michelle Obama because she read my book and it totally changed her life. So I dove all the way into this idea, and in that cardio fantasy, I got the idea for a title of a book. So you know what I did? I wrote a book. You'll probably never read it. I'll probably never release it. But that doesn't matter, because I know I can do that because I did do that. All from a cardio fantasy. So here's why I bring all of this up. I think we have a desperate, chronic, soul-sucking lack of imagination. A lack of imagination. I think a lot of us find ourselves in chicken night in a lot of areas of our lives, and it's really hard to imagine anything else. But here's the thing, a hero's journey cannot happen without imagination. God is calling us all into something big, something bigger than we know. And we all have a specific and a unique gift to give the world that only we can give. And the world needs this from us. For some of us, it might mean making small shifts that really change how we live and we move in the world. And for others, it might mean massive changes like selling a house and moving across the country, although I don't recommend it because it's very expensive and exhausting. So all of us, though, are called by God to go on an adventure. But just like Abraham, A lot of us don't know where we're going. We are stuck in a pre-corner moment, and we just cannot even fathom what might be on the other side of turning that corner. I think God gave us the gift of imagination so that we might co-create our paths with God. God wants all of us to be the heroes of our own stories so that we can bless the world, so that we can offer our gifts. Like Abraham, we can change the entire world, or at least our little corner of it. But we must be brave. And we must have imagination to step out on the journey and see what God has for us. So, I would encourage you this week to think about your own hero's journey. We all might find ourselves on different stages of the hero's journey. And if you really think about it and you feel like you're not on the hero's journey, watch out, because the call is probably right around the corner for you. So may we all keep open hearts and open ears for the next thing that God might be calling us into. Because all of us have a gift to give the world. Something inside of us that only we can give, a talent or a passion or a unique skill set or a dream that we have. And the world will be worse if we never give our gifts. I truly believe that the world needs the gifts that we have. The world needs the 200 of us in this room today to start imagining what we could create together and with God. And so may we be open, may we be brave, and may we, the people sitting in this room today, may we wildly, wildly bless the world. Amen.